Well, it looks like we're live. We're just getting this set up, so this is a new setup for us. We've got quite a conversation to begin, and so bear with us as we manage back and forth on the tech side of this. This is the first time we've utilized YouTube for a live stream of our adventure-based parenting content. So I'll be the driver of the tech. Greta's going to drive our conversation forward. Looking forward to chatting with people, both who are in the course and for those who have questions about the course. Join us in the chat. I'll be quick about attempting to respond to those. Well, let's jump in.
All right. So last time we did a live chat, we talked about how our family is doing this course along with you guys. And so the beginning of our live chat, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our week. The focus this week was about motivation and how we're not always the motivator. So we had our family meeting on Sunday. It was a quick one, but we wanted to make sure our kids knew that this week was about motivation and then check in with them about their goal setting. So hopefully you guys are starting to get going on the goal setting as well, having that written out and something to focus on as we move forward. And so motivation, that was a fun topic for everybody. I think there was a lot of goofing around during our family meeting.
There was some goofing around. We will not stand for this kind of tyranny in the future. No shenanigans.
It was one of those times where you thought, okay, you guys, we need to get a little serious here. And yet there was the moment of, oh my goodness, how awesome to have everybody just laughing and having a good time together. So, but we did need to cover some topics, as we do right now. So we did ask the question of what motivates you to everybody, but we didn't go through that line of all those questions about motivation, which we are going to touch on today when we have our family meeting. We'll go into more detail, but it is fun to see at least that first reaction of the kids as to what motivated them. Some of us, we already know, okay, this kid is all about competition.
Right. We won't name any names, Lucy.
Right. And
everybody else.
Right. And I think all of us are very socially motivated. So if we have friends or a group to be involved in, that motivates us. And I think that they'll find as we continue doing these goal setting pieces, that's going to be a huge motivation for them as well. So going through the content of the adventure-based parenting and the motivation piece, Derek, will you touch on that first section? Let's see where. Sorry, guys. Here we go. That cycle. One of the things we find with the two different methods of looking at motivation is that there's a cycle that happens. Yeah. And the first one, it goes through these the pre-contemplation there. That particular.
So much we're looking at kind of stages of change, right? So we're looking at pre-contemplation, contemplation, and moving through the criteria. And this is, definitely not, information that we created. So that the concept of stages of change is a well-formed, psychological principle, and it really looks at where is a person or a group, even a society, where are they in their readiness for change? And this has pretty broad-reaching impacts. And so you want to speak to an audience, and whether that's a spouse, a kiddo, a group that you may be leading, from where they can hear the message effectively. Mm-hmm. And so the idea is being able to speak to that stage that they're in, and then foster and facilitate them moving, if they want to, toward that next step. And so, the idea is, I won't go through all the stages. Maybe Greta, you'll kind of list them off, but we start off at pre-contemplation. So as it makes sense. This is before I've even thought about this thing. I haven't even, no idea. It's not even in my head. Right. So it's not particularly effective in pre-contemplation to hey, what have you thought about, some diet plan, or when I don't even consider that. So I need to get some information. You need to get some ideas on the idea. So in this specific example, adventure-based parenting or motivation, or where are we how do we as a family become more adventurous and more inclined to take on risk, to do things together in an active way. It's probably not super effective if that's not at all your lifestyle, to then just throw in a Bear Grylls episode and then say, all right, who wants to do that? Like he's outside right now. So like that's a pretty big setup. We haven't even thought about it. We haven't even formed a concept of what I want to do in this. And so that's a problem. Now then if you just pitch that idea, then okay, now the person is inherently thinking about contemplating it on some level.
Right.
But then, so Greta, go through the other steps.
So contemplation, preparation, and action, and then maintenance, and then termination or relapse. That was the first, drawing or.
Yeah, and that is how the model is drawn out. So It goes through each of those stages. Greta, one more time. So we got pre-contemplation, contemplation,
preparation, action, maintenance, and termination.
Right. So termination. So not all goals or endeavors are meant to go on forever, and sometimes we just aren't interested in them anymore, even if maybe we ought to be.
Yeah.
But so termination. And I guess the other key point with this is Greta mentioned that it's cyclical, and so at any point. So, for example, we'll say you're talking about workout and your motivation for fitness as a family, and each person has set different goals. You've already pre-contemplated it, like you've already not thought about it. Now you're thinking about it. You're in that contemplation, like, yeah, maybe this could be good for us. Like,
right. Well, this is I keep thinking of this example, teaching my 9-year-old as we're looking at the goal sheet and teaching her about goal setting. When she sees that piece of paper, she says, I don't know how to do, what's that, you know?
Right.
And so that was the pre, right? And then the contemplation is maybe me giving an example of what I'm doing and then exploring what she would like to do. And then reading, okay, adventure-based parenting, how can we support what we want to do as a family, as a goal? What can your goal be personally, your responsibility to get you closer to the family goal? And I'll just share with you, her goal, we were trying to think of different ideas. How can you be active so that when we do our big adventure, that it's more enjoyable, you can be more involved rather than just, kind of pulling you along, but which we can do, but it's just not as, you don't get as much out of it. And so talking to her about that, and we decided on skipping. So her goal, I'll let that out. We haven't had our family meeting and shared our goals, so I feel like I'm, telling the information a little early. But she decided she wanted to. One of the ideas that her sisters, why don't you skip? Okay, we'll skip around the vineyard. Maybe I could skip all the way around the vineyard. That could be my goal.
It's a long skip.
It's a long skip. So then we talked about actions. What are steps we can take to be able to do that? And okay, I'm going to skip down to the end of the driveway and back every day. Is that really something you're going to do every day? So then we take it down. So teaching them how to make a goal. This is a motivation. We followed the motivation diagram right there. I really, after going through this curriculum in the past and writing it up, I've really held on to this next diagram of which is inspiration, motivation, and action. I love that triangle. It's super simple. And I grab onto it every time. Every time I feel stuck, I think, okay, I can do something, right?
Well, it's something that I talk about a lot, whether it's with families or clients, whether I'm doing coaching stuff, and whether that's on the physical side or corporate side. We tend to be inspiration and motivation focused people. Mm-hmm. And the problem with inspiration and motivation, if there's a problem with them, is that they're fickle friends.
Right.
They are poor friends. They disappear.
Can't count on them.
They disappear when you need them the most. Right. And in truth, so we talk about that triangle. So you've got inspiration, motivation.
And Mark Manson is who wrote that.
Yeah, who kind of formalize this into this kind of 3 thing. I'm probably not the first person to think of the importance of these, but so pulling specifically from his information. But action is always an option. And so if we know what that action is, we know what our goals are, and they're clearly defined. And we'll talk a bit more about clearly defining those goals. But we know what those are. We don't actually have to be inspired. We don't have to be motivated. But in order to do something, all that is needed is action.
Right.
And interestingly, once we begin, if we just take some action, that motivation starts to build. If it's getting on a run, it's finally getting those shoes on. There's no inspiration required. It's helpful in order to put your running shoes on. It's great. When you feel it, go with it. But just put your shoes on, step out the door, begin to shuffle along the trail, and slowly, or not so slowly really, the motivation comes. But action is all that's needed.
It is, yep. I definitely felt that as I wrote down my goal. And it was on paper now. And I had to get up and put on the shoes. And
not just on paper, but you set this with your family. Right. With your all watching, girls right there in the meeting. And mom said, this is my goal. And here is how I want to pursue my goal.
And I think that I don't remember if you touched on this or not, but we've definitely had this conversation about how it's easy to think that we're supposed to do this. I did a live chat. It's just so easy to think, well, I don't need that. I should just be able to do this on my own and be motivated all by myself. And we're not really created that way. It's really awesome when that happens and we can celebrate that. But you got to put things around you that motivate you toward that goal and accountability. And I think we're fooling ourselves if we think we can just do it all on our own.
Are you talking about the dynamic between, say, making SMART goals?
Right. Like or even
aversion to it?
Or even letting my motivation be the fact that everybody else knows that this is my, shouldn't I just do this because it's the right thing to do and I made this goal? Well, that's nice, but sometimes I need to know that my kids are watching me and that it matters.
Accountability is important. And of course, we're going to get all kinds of thoughts on this. But the idea of, well, aren't you just setting yourself up for this? Or are you only doing that because of what others think about you? And no, it's about.
And I would say sometimes.
Sure, we're probably also doing all kinds of negative things because of what we think people would, Anyway, but that's a rabbit trail of uselessness.
Right.
The point is, accountability is great if it's supportive and they're on your team. You want a team. In this essence, we talk about having a tribe of people who are collectively working toward shared goals. And they can be varied, of course. Every family is going to be different in this. But to know what your goals are amongst different families, and that's a cool thing about the tribe within adventure-based parenting, is we all publish these goals to each other. And so they see what we're working on, and we see what they're working on, and everybody else sees what everybody else is working on. And we can look at that, absolutely, and go to the lowest common denominator and be like, well, I guess, all kinds of negative stuff.
Then go back to your full value contract.
Right. Then go back to week 1, full value contract, challenge by choice, that kind of stuff. Right. That's not helpful. But if you have a team that actually is cheering for you and recognizing that this is difficult, it's hard to take action when you're not motivated. Everything's stacked against you. All the donuts are available. All the other options are available. All the other streaming services are available to do something else. And they would be more than happy to keep you there. So you need people who are willing to rally for you and that I'm going to have to tell so-and-so that I didn't do it this week. And that's a good problem.
It's okay.
It's a great problem. So you mentioned, I want to touch back on this, the idea that shouldn't I be inherently motivated? And man, that has kept me from achieving most of all of my goals. Any goal that I can look to that I held out there, that I didn't make what we call a SMART goal. Not, once again, not our concept. It's all over SMART goals that are specific, measurable, achievable / attainable, that are realistic and time-based. Goals that I set in that function are goals that I've attained or that I'm continuing to build towards. Goals that I just say, yeah, I want to be nebulous something happy land. Yeah, I'm none of those things. I don't achieve those goals.
Yeah.
Because if I had to make a goal, that means I'm not already doing it. And if I don't make it specific, then I got every way out of it.
Well, there's so many distractions when you have a family and job and life. And
I'm distracted just by my own self. So
right.
add in.
And you add in all that, it's right.
Yeah. So we chatted just about the SMART goals aspect of this. And so when we looked at goal setting and being motivated, inspired, and taking action, having something very, very specific from which to draw allows us to recognize, are we continuing to take action? And how do I take action? If you make SMART goals, then there are action steps all along the way.
Yeah. So I just wanted to also just encourage you guys to write, tell us what your kids are thinking for what motivates them. Did you have any surprises as to what motivates different people? And we are looking forward to continuing to have these conversations and encourage each other as we go through. Now we're going to enter week 3 here on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, week 3 is beginning.
This is a fun one. I like this, the next week.
Absolutely. So week 3 is beginning for Adventure-Based Parenting cohort of January. The course is still open for others to join at week 1 at all times. And so that'd be backcountryprofessor.com would be how you'd find us, and go from there right into checking out the course. But more importantly, for those who are already in the course, this is a culmination week to week. And if you continue to share, as you continue to share, reach out to the others in the cohort, to the others in the tribe, ask them questions. Some of them have gone through this, and some of our folks in the alumni category are still doing this 2 years later. So to those who are in this live right now and who'll be watching this later because of time differences, awesome. Like 2 years with us in this process. And as you must know this, we learn as much from you as hopefully you're learning something from us in this relationship. There's so much going on, and it's rad to see what's happening, globally with other folks in the adventure-based parenting tribe. So keep sharing with each other. Keep showing up on social media. Keep showing up in the tribe. It's so encouraging to put out there what it is that we're working on, to have you know what we're working on, to see what you're working on, and then to recognize we are, in fact, all moving forward. Yeah, super, super appreciative of everybody in the tribe. Thanks, everybody, for checking out Adventure-Based Parenting through backcountryprofessor.com. I guess this is it.
Yeah.
Signing off. All right. Let us know in the comments, was this the worst live chat you've ever seen? What can we do better? I know if I just got out of the way and just let Greta take center stage here, that would go way better. But great to bring you into our studio here at Base Camp. Looking forward to next week and to hearing from each of you in the social media tribe. Talk again soon.